No, I think the wrestling sort of example you've brought up, and so to compare that to like the cricketing case, and like you mentioned how these cricketers have become mega stars, especially with
Somewhat. Yeah.
uh, like comparatively to other sports,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But would they
Yeah,
stand up to the BCCI at any point and say, "Sir, can
right.
you please tell us how much of your percentage are you giving to
Hmm.
us? Can we please see your accounts properly? Can my accountant, can my CA come and look at your accounts and see that this is not a fair share?" No chance. No
Yeah,
chance. So they
absolutely.
are not even I mean, in terms of their pay that they get from the BCCI,
Hmm.
until very recently, I could still be wrong. I think they don't get as international cricketers as much as, say, cricketers from Australia or England
I
get. And
see.
that's not got to
Okay.
do with the fact that the Australian dollar is stronger than the rupee or
Right,
the
right.
pound is stronger.
Of course.
So it's that kind of,
Hmm.
it's random. It's random. Whenever there
Hmm.
is any appeal or any
Hmm.
this is the thing, they don't like policy because policy is framed clearly. They don't want to follow policy.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
don't want a structure that is very specific and says this is how you will be rewarded and
Hmm.
this is what it will happen. Because then how do they then announce, I will give you, everyone will get 5 crores for winning this championship.
Right.
Then it's like largest, like rajas are throwing money out. Policy
Hmm.
leaves that out of the picture. It's just a
Yeah.
normal thing. It has to happen, you'll get it. It's part of your package. But they don't
Absolutely.
want package. They want to be rajas still.
Hmm. And that's got to do with that transitional phase that you mentioned that we are in.
We are
As
in very, very early, very, very
Hmm.
early. I don't know if I'll be alive to see the end of it, but we are a caveman state of governance at
Hmm.
this point.
Hmm. Hmm.
The other thing that happened, sorry, Abdul, I must mention here that the thing that
Yes.
happened that has changed the dynamic of what
Yes.
we
Yes.
see as Indian Olympic sport
Hmm. Hmm.
is the advent of private bodies that came in and said, okay, we are going to be the middleman between the federation, the government,
Right.
and the elite athlete.
Hmm.
In no other country there is anything like this. This is a fully Desi invention because our governance was so
Hmm.
crap. Our policy was so like
Right.
non-existent.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
came about because of a result of that. It came about from individual this, and now
Hmm.
the government got said, "Bhai, we also give the money. They get more publicity than we do. Now let us start top scheme. Now let us do this." So
Hmm.
that the change was that. The change was private bodies saying, "We are coming. We are stepping in. We are speeding this process up and making their
Hmm.
lives easier." And that's the time you see we start getting more medals. It's not.
Hmm.
It's not.
Hmm. Hmm. So, do you think that is the way forward, or do you think potential issues with that as well, or like where do you stand on like that?
On
Um,
what? Sorry.
on private bodies, like you mentioned, how these
I,
private bodies expedited this process.
I
Uh,
think, yeah, I think the elite athlete is now well catered to and well looked after.
hmm, hmm,
Now you have to turn your attention to, if you're looking at, there's two things. One is governance, which is still
hmm,
needs to be addressed in a way
right,
that is serious.
right,
And the other is sports access, which is another completely different thing.
absolutely.
So in terms of sports access, you need to have, that's a
Hmm,
different policy sort
hmm,
of discussion, and
hmm,
governance is a separate discussion as well. Governance is not in any way improved because these people came up there. They're just a little bit more fidgety. You're
hmm, hmm,
hoping that you will get younger people coming through now. You have an older generation
right,
of
right.
officials and
Hmm,
and that's hopefully now leaving the stage to use a kind metaphor. And you hope that younger people are coming through and that younger people have a different view of how things are to be run. That they
right,
understand
right.
that supporting an athlete and producing better athletes and giving more events to athletes will create a whole dramatic sort of change which will help them eventually, which will improve their profile and
For
their
sure.
clout in the world and so on. I mean,
Hmm,
the most ridiculous part of the sports governance bill is saying that you can be an administrator non-stop for the rest of your life. I mean, there are people. It's literally like going
right,
back to what it
right, right,
was.
right.
You can keep doing
Absolutely.
that hop, skip, and jump from international body
Hmm,
to local body, saying, "Oh,
hmm,
we will help your, it'll help our presence on the international stage." There are people they've been in international athletics, swimming, sailing. What have they done at an international level, continental level? What
hmm,
difference has it made? Until your Neeraj Chopra came and did what he did, you know.
hmm, hmm,
And also, I think people should understand because they don't. Olympic sports people don't understand every gradient of it like they do at cricket.
hmm,
In in athletics, for example, there is a circuit that now runs that if you are a good enough performer at a particular stage, you will get invited to take part in these events. You
hmm.
are independently capable, authorized
Right,
to go and compete in those events. You
right.
don't need sarkari approval. You need visa, of course.
Hmm,
You don't
hmm.
need sarkari approval. You don't need federation approval. You are your own entity. You can go and compete.
Right,
and
right.
Diamond League will turn to you, like with Neeraj. And you're
Hmm.
seeing a whole lot of other athletes going and competing at this international stage. They don't need the Athletics Federation of India
Right.
if they really if they want to do it in that way, they don't need them. So that kind of independence of thinking is what you need to
Hmm.
have. You need to have your athletes out there being visible, being
Right,
seen, like you
right.
see in badminton, for example. Now,
Yeah, yeah. No, and this again sort of brings me to that point which we were discussing earlier about the cricketers not having sort of that. So you've also mentioned in your piece in Caravan like this very, I think that was a very accurate term, monopsony,
yeah,
by the
yeah,
by the
yeah, yeah,
VCCI.
yeah, yeah.
So on the one hand, you see these cricketers becoming these lucrative sort of commodities,
Yes,
but they're also sort of bound completely by the
absolutely.
BCCI.
I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go
No,
ahead. What
and
do you think?
no, I'm saying that what do you think this sort of combination does to like them not being able to speak up, and what are the larger repercussions for that?
I
In
mean,
terms of
the repercussions for it is everyone is inside this lovely golden cage.
yeah, yeah,
They love the golden and they love the comforts, but it's a cage. And you
hmm,
have to be ready to accept that, which I think a majority of people are absolutely ready to accept it. They don't,
hmm,
they say,
hmm,
listen, I'm not going to fight every battle. I'm
right,
not a crazy journalist. I
huh,
don't care. I'm looking after myself. I'm looking after, and everyone says, oh, I'm doing it for my kids. They always
hmm,
blame the kids when they do something that's not,
yeah, yeah,
that's not quite, and what has happened in that case is that we are looking in an environment where this government is requiring them to speak in a particular way on a particular topic.
hmm,
Then they step
hmm,
up, they
hmm,
turn around and they say
hmm,
these things. So they find themselves trapped because
right,
they haven't. It's like they don't have practice in speaking their own mind beyond the point. They've not got
Ex-
practice in
yeah,
doing it.
no, no, this
And
is yeah, sorry, go
it's
ahead.
like आदत ही नहीं है उनको to be able to
Hmm,
say something
hmm,
that is contrary to opinion unless it is concerning a specific thing, like for example the Virat Kohli's thing of standing up for Mohammad Shami.
hmm,
It should have been done when Wasim Jafar's case happened. you know it should have been done at every other time that it came up. They say you
hmm,
will not speak about my teammate in that manner,
hmm,
you will not
hmm,
speak about my fellow colleague in that manner.
hmm,
But
hmm,
everyone is silent because that's what they've learned. In this
right,
case of, uh, I mean, I've said this again that you cannot go and play in any other 2020 league. You have to be
right,
retired for so many. That is absolute restraint of trade. I don't. Any lawyer will say, yeah, of course, you can't.
hmm, hmm,
It's not allowed. I mean, you can take
hmm,
it to court,
hmm,
but who is going to take it to court?
hmm,
Please
hmm,
tell me. And then there is this sort of what's happening is that Indian cricket policy, governance, call it what you want, is trying to extend to other corners of the world. Please don't sign up Pakistani cricketers into your
right,
franchise league team.
hmm, hmm,
Bhai, what is this?
hmm, hmm.
How have you allowed yourself to become supine like this? You know,
Yeah, and so I mean, of course, there is this angst that
prostrate. Sorry, supine. No, prostrated yourself. Sorry.
no, I'm saying that of course there is this angst we feel that cricketers are not standing up, but
Yeah.
beyond that, and one understands as you said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but beyond that, like if you look at it institutionally, like you mentioned that it does impede certain sort of processes, or like if say players were standing up, then some questions around accountability could have started, and so that is the whole problem around this monopsony, as you mentioned. Uh,
Yes.
you mentioned the women sort of sports and how they have sort of fought their
Yeah,
way in
yeah,
also.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to specifically ask you, like the Lodha committee also mentions,
yeah,
for example, lack of any female member up till that point in the working committees, or very short, domestic seasons, or
yeah,
lack of central contracts,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
like unimaginable.
yeah.
So, where do you think the state of women cricket
I
in India
think
right now?
their women's cricket in India suddenly at one point, when Anurag Thakur was the sports minister, this is
Hmm.
around the time all this was rumbling, this happening, rumbling was
Right,
going on,
right.
and the court had got into it,
Hmm,
and
hmm.
it was a judge, I think it was Justice T.S. Thakur or something, like that, who was not listening to anything you're saying, just show me
Right,
show me the facts, show
right.
me the facts. Yeah, this
Hmm,
is the
hmm,
case, and this is the facts, and this is the law, show me the facts. So then I think Anurag Thakur, for the first time,
hmm.
he announced contracts for the Indian women cricketers, for the top women cricketers that there are. So it started like that. So again, you see what's happening is money is being handed out. Power has not been given. Money has been
Absolutely.
handed out.
Hmm,
Power is when you are able to set up a separate committee for women's cricket in your board.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can't
Right.
have like some just two, three female faces and say whatever. You
Right.
know,
Right.
the
Right.
fact is that you have to actually put down and say you need to have these women there. I mean, to be fair, I have to say, not to be fair, as a matter of fact, is in Australian cricket, for example, there is one woman, but CEO of the state associations that there, but she's there.
Okay.
She's a woman
Okay.
CEO. She's the boss of that Australian capital
Right.
territory.
Right. Right.
Um, I'm thinking, who is the one single female boss of the president, or even some. We are not even, the BCCI is not even willing to say chief executive officer on their visiting card. They're not allowed to say. Never mind what,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the women's thing it's largely been this: we will give you money, but what is the logic on which we will give money? We don't know. We just feel like
Hmm.
we are giving you money. So it's handing out of
Right.
money that
Very
comes like this,
interesting.
the largesse that is being given. This largesse ka funda, largesse is supposed to, it's supposed to sort of, largesse is supposed to distract you from policy framework. To say that, okay, if the Lodha committee has said we need so many
Right.
women
Right.
in the man, that they are there, they are given the voice and that they speak. Who are these women? Everyone saying no, there are no women. And you do not tell me that there are no women cricketers in India who don't have a view to say on
Right.
a
Right.
voice to say
Right.
on this song,
Hmm.
who do not think they have something to offer. And it goes similarly with the National Sports Governance Bill.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
reduce the number of women. They say only by one, but still
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
is too much for you, no? So it had to
Hmm.
be four in our executive committee. It had to be five. It became four.
Right.
That they had to be women members present in something. It was taken out. So you're seeing
Hmm.
what their policy objective towards. I mean, 30% reservation to bhul jao. होने
Ah.
वाला नहीं है. It's not. I
Ah.
think
Ah.
30% reservation was in the draft.
Hmm.
वो तो होने वाला नहीं है. In women's cricket,
Hmm.
the benefit and the advantage that happened is at some point
Hmm.
they had started, the BCCI and its cricket operation and whoever was working there had
Hmm.
started to figure out that they need to have more events where women take part. So suddenly there was training of a lot of
Right.
female umpires, female match
Right.
referees, scorers, statisticians,
Hmm.
analysts, to
Hmm.
increase the number of women that are seen, which is a great thing. Suddenly you'll start seeing two female
Hmm.
umpires. So where did they come from? What
Right.
matches
Right.
did they do?
Right.
But there
Right.
was definitely a pattern to show that this had been put into place at some time. Maybe it was
Yes.
around Anurag Thakur's change, which
Right.
he did, and
Hmm.
he had a academy in Dharamshala for women cricketers,
Acha.
who came from all over the state, his state,
Hmm.
to train and to get ready and so on. I
Hmm.
think Renuka Thakur or something might have been from there. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that had happened. So at that level,
Right.
the BCCI does expertly is organized matches. So suddenly women had a lot more matches to play
Hmm.
domestically to be able to play. They still don't have under. I think they've just started under 16. It
Hmm.
wasn't that level of. It wasn't the whole discussion was, oh, we cannot have an IPL because we won't get that much talent. There is talent coming out of everywhere now.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I went to attend a session. I went to speak to young women cricketers who had applied to be part of this program,
Right.
excellence, and some type this thing for a year, and they'll get supported and they'll be helped and whatever.
Hmm.
And they said when we put out the advertisement, we got something like 200 applications for women of this, and it was a very small sector that was
Right.
there.
Right.
Like between this age and this age,
Hmm.
they got applications for that. And when it applications closed, we got more. And this is
Okay.
one corner of the
Right.
country. This is
Right.
not
Right.
like
Hmm.
so in that sense that there is, but it's like you have to create the ecosystem to become bigger and bigger to fit them all in. But definitely in terms of the number of matches women play and so on,
Hmm.
that has gotten better at the domestic level. It's also created other problems, but
Right.
that's for a different.
Right. And so you mentioned the Australian case
Yes,
briefly in the beginning.
yes.
So there are, as you mentioned, there's certain issues still remain, and it's like a great sort of. I think that's been one of the biggest stories of Indian cricket, the rise of women cricket in the last sort of 10 years. But are there other models or successful institutions that we can look at internationally to learn or to take lessons from? You
I
think?
mean, I think the IOC's it's about athlete participation, but it's important that it's
Hmm.
there. So
Hmm.
they've
Hmm.
said that every team that comes to the Olympics has to have a female competitor, has to,
Right.
not a female in the
Right.
delegation competitor.
Hmm.
So whoever that is, whichever country that is, there has to be somebody.
Hmm.
And that makes a big difference because it puts pressure on that national organizing committee to find this woman athlete from somewhere. Kuch to bhi
Hmm.
karo. You
Right.
know,
Right.
for
Right.
me, that gender push that they've given has been very important.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are, of course, 3,000 flaws that you can say about the IC, but that is
Hmm.
really, really excellent.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
have also created, I think, done a lot of policy framework, creation of things around mental illness,
Right.
harassment,
Right.
you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
sexual abuse, and all those kind of things
Hmm.
across
Hmm.
the board. They've
Hmm.
literally created a framework which other sports bodies can look to,
Hmm.
apply it to their own specific sport, their own
Hmm.
specific space, and say,
Hmm.
okay, maybe we can make it work like this. This is what
Hmm.
it is. So
Hmm.
there are frameworks everywhere. You'll find
Right.
everywhere
Right.
that there is. I mean, in Brazil, cricket is
Hmm.
the women have are much more prominent than the male cricketers,
Right.
and you get these little examples everywhere. But you would like India to at least have some, leadership in this kind of
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
in some
Hmm.
kind of intellectual leadership in where women's cricket is
Okay.
going, where issues of
Hmm.
harassment are going, where issues of
Right.
whatever,
Right. Right.
uh, where grievance redressal is done properly. I mean,
Hmm.
if a cricketer wants to complain, where do they go? What do they do?
Right. Right. Yes. I also wanted to ask you who your sort of favorite commentator has been over the years,
Commentator as a writer?
as in like broadcasting, and like specifically because like you also mentioned like in your very well titled Big Brother BCCI is watching, like, that how broadcasting, we know that broadcasting has changed over the years,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and you have not just analyzed it, you would have experienced it, like, so and like that ties into BCCI sort of control of how
The
the
narrative.
media, of how the narrative goes out and how the media puts out certain things. uh, so yeah, I mean,
I mean, let's look at the going by your last this. Let's not talk about an era where it was free. so,
right, right.
so I am a bit skeptical of English commentary pretty much these
Hmm.
days that comes out of around Indian cricket. I'm a little
Right,
bit
right.
wary.
Hmm.
I follow language Hindi commentators. I'll follow. I
Hmm.
mean, regional language commentary in IPL to 100%.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll follow the regional language
Right,
commentator.
right.
I mean, who am I thinking now? It's very hard, actually. I mean,
Back in the day, of course, Richie Benu and Bill Lawry, but anyone,
you're saying Richie Beno, Bill Lawry. I mean, back in the day, everyone was. Ravi Shastri was brilliant when he came
yeah,
first. He
yeah,
was
yeah.
super. He had a fresh voice, a fresh approach. Ravi Shastri was great.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Hmm.
Harsha. I mean, like in the early days, it was just when I said when they were free to say what they wanted to say,
Hmm.
they were super. I think
Hmm.
everybody when his wants to speak his mind speaks their
Hmm.
mind. Not just now to get reels or whatever, but
Right, right.
that's just what you
Hmm.
that's what you look for. I mean, I found a lot of the overseas commentators sometimes biased against the Indians. My antenna was very high at that time, particularly in my
Hmm.
20s and 30s.
Hmm.
So I never stood for any of that. I wasn't a big fan. I used to like Tony Kozier's commentary a lot,
Right, right.
because again, it was a different voice and a different
Hmm. Hmm.
way. Um, yeah, so it was. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone important, and I'll just kick myself the moment this ends. But yeah, I think
Jeremy Coney for radio.
Jeremy Coney, yeah. For I mean, I remember all those names or whatever,
Hmm.
but I'm a bit like, thoda.
Okay, okay, okay. Fair, fair, fair. Yes, yes. No,
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm just a bit because I think media and commentary has changed so much over the
yeah,
last ten
yeah.
years that it's like the past is a blur. And I'm not going to say that. I mean, I used to listen to cricket with Vijay Merchant when I was, which is of course a complete program nobody has any memory of,
Hmm.
which was like he used to just come out with an axe and go after everybody if he got angry. He just didn't care, and this was like Vijay
Hmm.
Merchant,
Hmm. Hmm.
the
Hmm. Hmm.
top guy. So I used to
Right,
listen to
right.
him on the radio as well. So he was just some incredible, absolutely incredible. I didn't hear Anand Setalvad, who everyone talks about. I don't remember listening to him.
Hmm.
I've heard
Hmm.
Arlett, I think, on
Okay.
during an Ashes commentary, but I was not very taken in by the English sort of way of describing and talking about cricket, nor
Absolutely.
the Australian, because that
Hmm.
means like
Hmm.
there's only
Hmm.
one way of playing cricket, and that is ours, the Australian way. That's
Hmm.
absolute
Hmm. Hmm.
nonsense to my mind. So
Hmm.
I was just a bit, I was okay, TK, whatever.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's my answer to you.
Yeah, no, I was also remembering that I think in one of your some you like you were speaking to somewhere in social media, and you referenced the crack of dawn thing, and I was like,
Crack
yeah,
of doom. That's
crack of
that's
doom.
words, my
Sorry.
friend. That's words. That's words
Yeah,
written on a
words.
typewriter
Yeah, yeah,
or
absolutely.
whatever. That's
Ah.
words. That's the power of actual words written, which you can't forget. I mean, a commentator says it. You'll hear
Hmm.
the commentator. You can keep repeating what they say everywhere. They'll keep
Yeah,
playing it. Ian Smith was
the
very
World
good
Cup.
in
Yeah.
the World Cup. Yeah, yeah, the World Cup and that final that he called.
Ah, ah,
He's
ah.
an incredibly good rugby commentator as well.
Oh,
But you have to
okay.
wonder, yeah, yeah, you have to wonder whether these guys hold themselves back when they're doing commentary in India,
Right.
which is sad. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I
I like
mean,
some of the stuff. I'm literally like, I've run out of names. You should have warned me
there
about
was
this before.
this Robin Jackman I really used to like, South
Yes,
African.
yes,
He
yes,
was
yes,
he was
yes.
good.
He came for a
Uh,
bit. Yes, he did.
yeah. So I mean, of course, like it has like this control has taken away aesthetics of the game, of course. But like, what do you think? Like, are the broad like why do you think there is this larger sort of push for this control? What are the aspects of this control? Like, what are the specific aspects of this control? And what do you think it sort of means for the
I
game?
think I think it's a reflection of where cricket is with reference to social media and how you are about to present yourself to the world. That there is a mask that everybody has. When you
Hmm.
are in social media, even though you are doing your best and putting out your best
Hmm.
blogs, videos, whatever, I'm talking about like
Hmm.
superstar cricketers
Right, right.
or superstar commentators. There
Hmm.
is a mask that is there. I mean, you
Hmm.
listen to, sometimes you listen to the Sky Sports podcast of Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton. It's great fun,
Hmm.
I have to say. But I'd rather listen to it when they're not talking about England. So because they are former English players, and what are you going to get? So you will get a certain amount of clarity over there.
Hmm.
Um, uh, but there is a mask, and they don't want you to see behind that mask. They
Hmm.
don't
Hmm.
want
Hmm.
they don't want you to even talk what's happening behind the mask. Like for example, we are seeing what's happening with the case of Jasprit Bumrah's workload management story that's
Hmm.
going.
Hmm.
They would rather it be presented in 1 minute and everything is fine. So you're not going to hear that conversation that you
Hmm.
would want
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
to have. Maybe you will in some segment somewhere in some OTT stream that you have not paid attention to. It will be there,
Hmm.
but it's not a public sort of matter of debate or discussion. It's sort of been the control is because you want to keep everyone wants to stay inside this under the BCCI's benevolence. You don't want to be
Hmm. Hmm.
booted
Hmm.
out of it
Yeah.
because in terms of earnings, both as a player, as a media
Hmm.
person, as
Hmm.
somebody who maybe you're working in production,
Hmm.
that's considerably less earnings. But does that mean there's no other cricket happening elsewhere where your talents cannot be utilized? I'm talking about non-players in this.
Right,
Of
right.
course there is.
Huh,
Of course
huh.
there is. It's just a choice that you make. So and it's a FOMO thing कि मुझे या तो IPL करना ही है types which happens with the media के
Okay.
without IPL
Hmm. Hmm.
you're not that visible, but of course you're visible if you have to be visible. Say
Right.
something important and you will be say something authentic and you will
Hmm.
be visible. With players there's also a question that they are stuck because of the
Right.
fact that they are signed contracts and their careers are
Hmm.
limited and they want
Hmm.
to earn
Hmm.
whatever they want to earn and all the rest of it.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I would sort of try to end this with like the national sports bill,
Yes,
slightly like discussing it. You have mentioned it a couple of times in our discussion.
yes, yes,
Uh, in reference to cricket governance, and I think you also the age limit and the tenure. You also sort of mention in your works, hint at that like these are important reforms, but like they are just superficial in some sense. Like we have to also think beyond this, and of course, I mean we are like at a stage where even this is not happening, but yeah, I think it's for the record and for documenting also, like it's also important to have those conversations that even beyond these reforms, like what is the way we can think of restructuring governance. So just your thoughts on
I
that.
mean, my way of restructuring governance will be something absolutely alarmist and anarchist, but it will not go there. I think we need to look at a certain. You're hoping to get a change of generational, thought leaders, participants,
Hmm.
governors of sport coming into the system. Because the ones that are that my generation, I'm sorry, we have done a bad job. Even I would say athletes of a particular generation are doing a bad job. They're all sitting on these Olympic committees. I mean, the
Huh.
fact that they actually fixed, and I'm saying it fixed,
Hmm.
the uh, IOA Athletes Commission election was the saddest thing I ever heard. And I think having athletes commissions is important. I'm glad that it's there. I
Hmm.
want to see how many, and I've had conversations with so many athletes, some of them who are in that athletes commission, who had really important things to say and thoughts to express.
Right.
But people at the top won't let them express it. So it's not that there are not good people in the system. It's the
Hmm.
point is that the rotten people in the system tend to rise faster. It's some
Hmm.
non-physics thing has happened over here. Rotten fruit is normally squashed at the bottom of the pile, but not rotten
Right.
sports thinkers and doers and administrators. So I am just hopeful of the fact that you're putting these structures into place, and hopefully that the tide will turn when the better people come to the front. Better say to say younger, even people in politics who are interested in this. I mean, I'm not talking about only people. Apparently in 2017 there was another bill that had been
Okay.
drafted and kept ready. Same thing. It's called good governance in sport. I remember it being GG something 2017. So
Okay.
GG something 2017 had a thing saying that no politician can take part in the election. I mean, can be a part of
Okay.
the can be part of sports administration, which was great, but I mean, it would not have passed. It would have been dead on the water.
Hmm.
So because everyone said that, look, as a individual, it's a constitutional right for you to be able to stand for election in
Hmm.
any body that you may want to.
Hmm.
So you can't say that politicians should not be there. You would just hope that the quality of the people that are involved in sports
Right.
administration. I mean, we've had some fine sports administrators. We've had
Hmm.
some, but the percentage is very small. We've had
Hmm.
some really good people in government also, in sports
Hmm.
ministry, secretaries, and so on. But that percentage is very small. That will not just get succumbed to whoever is in power.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
my hope is for that to happen, for that time to for it to,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
if I look back at my career when I started and where we are now, the
Hmm.
changes have been enormous across Indian sport. Enormous in governance, performance, elite participation, what
Hmm.
sports means to the rest of the country. It's been radical. So I'm just
Hmm.
hoping by the time I die, it'll get better.
Thank you for yeah, I mean, for pointing those sort of broad strands out, and I hope this generation doesn't sort of disappoint.
No,
Uh,
they won't. I'm quite sure they won't.
uh, yeah, I'm refraining from saying our generation, but yeah.
You won't. You won't. I know you won't. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure, ma'am, talking to you, and I hope that our listeners will enjoy sort of listening as much as I enjoyed sort of talking about these issues. Thank you again so much for giving us time on this.
Thank you, Abdul. That was a great conversation, and I'll follow your podcast and see what else
Absolutely,
that you
absolutely.
look delve into. Thank you very much for inviting
Thank
me.
you, thank you, thank you, ma'am.